Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. It's Sunday, November 29th, 2020, the day before our first eclipse. We're going into eclipse season. And then we have this exciting Jupiter-Saturn conjunction moving into Aquarius. It's going to set a whole new tone. And I kind of want to chat about this a little bit before I go into the readings today, because I was thinking about Aquarius being the 11th house. Good morning, Juan. And the 11th house, the number 11, is a master number of thought. And the 11th house, while it represents networks and systems without a brain, it also represents our hopes, our dreams, our desires. We don't talk about that a lot. The 11th house can represent wealth. And now we have Saturn, the ancient ruler of Aquarius, moving into its sign. Could it be, let's just throw this out there, could it be that while Saturn was in Capricorn, it tore down the old structures that didn't serve us in order to give life to new structures based on a more Aquarian, Uranian dynamic? Something innovative, something new, something alien to what we have already experienced. And then we have this whole idea of the eclipses. Our first one is tomorrow in Gemini. It's a partial lunar eclipse, which I think is very interesting because it's going to ask us to think about or to revisit our thinking process, to give life to all Gemini type things, our everyday environments. How are we operating? So then we have 2 weeks later, a solar eclipse, total solar eclipse in Sagittarius, which represents our beliefs, higher knowledge. So I'm like thinking there's this whole theme going on right now about how we think. And we talk about all the time that we manifest first emotionally, and then emotionally we take actions based on those thoughts. So I'm really kind of excited. Pardon my hair. It's just kind of going all over the place. I'm really kind of excited about what the next year and a half has to offer in the way of illumination. I know we are co-creators. And if we've been operating unconsciously, creating on dynamics that have been expected of us, Saturn and Capricorn, we won't even talk about Jupiter and Pluto. And now Saturn is moving into this sign of innovation. And I couldn't help but think about this morning that how odd it would be, whoever decided that Uranus should now rule Aquarius was very interesting to me because it literally took Saturn's opposing energy. Saturn does stoic behaviors. Saturn asks us to do things not that we like, but that are part of conforming, part of what is dutiful. And what is Uranus? The complete opposite of that. Blow it up, do it different, be shocking, be unexpected, liberate. What an interesting dynamic. What if we take that deeper? What if Saturn is offering us really much more of a glimpse into how we think? And I've been kind of saying for the last year or so that Saturn wants to evolve just the way the rest of us want to evolve, as do the other planets. And what if Saturn is evolving into being a cooperative energy? Saturn says if you do the hard work of believing in yourself, if you do the hard work of paying attention to where your focus and your thoughts are, then your hopes and your dreams and your desires in the 11th house can manifest in your life experience. Am I clicking my mouth? Circa Queen of Swords, new to our tribe. I apologize if I'm clicking my mouth. I don't mean to do that. All right, so I want to welcome everybody here. I want to thank you for spending your Sunday with me, or Monday morning as it may be. And I want to give life to the idea that as we embark upon this year of 2021, and we are experiencing this, Jupiter represents wealth. It represents good luck in the house of our hopes and our desires and our dreams. And then Saturn is there saying, who will you be dutiful to? Will you be dutiful to an old story, or will you be dutiful to your own story? And that's where we really get the beauty of what's been going on. So I'm excited about this. I know that there's more disruption ahead. I know there's more challenges in the sense of breaking away from the old and starting to embrace the new. And yet, to me, it feels very much like it's ushering in, I want to use the word nirvana, because challenges that are aligned to our dreams and desires are the ingredients to empowerment, into achievement, into feeling excitement. Wouldn't know excitement if you didn't know challenge. It's just the way it goes. All right, let's go into our readings. I'm going to start with Pisces and work my way backwards as I do. I started this a few Mercury retrogrades ago and just kind of stuck that way. And before I go, I want to thank everybody for joining and thank all the new people that are here. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your intentions as you enter our tribe. Okay, here we go. Start with Pisces rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I go in that order because I believe the rising is the most authentic to our truth as we know it about ourselves. I think the moon is how we base our actions, is on how we feel. If we feel crappy, our actions don't always manifest what we want. So when we pay attention to that. And then our sun. And I say stelliums because I believe when there are 4 or more planets in a house or a sign, it is very powerful on the life path and on the influence of what you have chosen to experience here on this planet during this lifetime. Okay, here we go. Okay. Pisces, here we go, starting with you. Our first angel for Pisces is Crystal. The second is Shanti. The third is Archangel Michael. And the final is Aurora. And for those of you that are new to the Sunday morning show, I'm just going to explain to you what the positions mean. The first position is the energetic platform with which we're starting off this week. The second is the opportunity and or the obstacle. Everything we endeavor has either an opportunity and or an obstacle. The third position represents the angel's advice for taking advantage of the opportunity or getting around the obstacle. And the final represents the energetic dynamic at the end of the week. How the potentials of our success. Okay, here we go. Our joining Crystal is the risk card, Pisces. Joining Shanti, the angel of peace, is the truth card. Joining Archangel Michael is the queen. And joining Aurora is the deer. Okay. So, Crystal says have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then there's the risk card. This risk card to me is not a card of danger. There's no danger. It's just truly risking the idea that if I desire it, if I want it, if I can dream it, I can achieve it. I can experience it. And a lot of what Crystal is asking is not for you to figure out how you will do that. Rather than figuring out the how of how you will do it, start with your being energy. What does it feel like to be in that experience? And then through that energy, through that emotion, through that focus of thought, Spirit will inspire or bring across an experience that will then be a natural opening to a doorway to walk through. And for Pisces, the opportunity and or the obstacle, Shanti is the angel of peace and there's the truth card. And I think this is really differentiating between what is your real truth and what is the truth that you've told yourself based on what you think you can achieve, what you think with what you know in your life you can be successful at. Because you guys, when I started doing this work, I was in my 20s, and I never ever could conceive of an internet where I would meet people on a Sunday morning from all around the world. I could not conceive that I could make a living at doing this work. And yet here I sit at 61 years old experiencing that very thing. So I had to go back and risk a bigger picture of what I wanted. I had to trust the deeper truth of what would bring me peace. And then I had to have the courage, Archangel Michael, to own my life. Whether you're a man or a woman, to be the king or the queen, to be receptive, to know that if I can focus on it, Spirit can start bringing me experiences that support that focus. And here's Aurora, Pisces. Aurora says, you're flying high right now. Don't descend. That you may threaten others, and I don't mean that physically, but your way of thinking may threaten others because they're inside the conformity of Saturn, the lower vibrations of Saturn potentially. And to be gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you step into a more Aquarian, aka Uranian way of being. And that is to actually trust at a very deep level that which you cannot see and you can only feel. This is very exciting. So I want to just I know this is going to be kind of hard for one in the timestamps, but let me go back generally because the first eclipse tomorrow is in Gemini. Gemini rules thought. It rules our everyday activities. 2 weeks later, we have an eclipse in Sagittarius, which is the higher version or the conversational version, higher education, beliefs, philosophies. All of these things are going to come under review. And not under review to be judged, not under review to be criticized, just more to see, are they serving me? Are they serving where I want to go and what I want to experience on this planet? Because this disruption we've had in 2020 is not just for the sake of being disruptive. It is to tear down old structures that don't serve the happiness, the fulfillment that the soul is now demanding as it experiences this earthly plane. So Pisces, ruled by Neptune, very spiritual sign. The sign that rules the 12th house, that which is behind me, which I can't necessarily see, but yet that I feel within myself. It's time to risk a bigger picture. And as we talk about the eclipses coming up and we talk about the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in the house of hopes and dreams and wishes, I want to offer that much of this will not be initially evidenced in your material experience, but rather in your energetic experience. I just know it's going to happen. I just have this feeling something good is coming to me. And in doing so, we start to act as the balancing energy for where fear may be running amok. Okay, let's go on to Aquarius. I want to say this for you guys in the chat. It has been, the energies have been, I think as we go through this ending of Jupiter and Saturn being in Capricorn, it can feel very dense. I myself have felt very draggy. I wake up tired. I didn't necessarily eat great for Thanksgiving, a lot of salt, a lot of pork, but as I've been course correcting, I also realized that part of this exhaustion is not just organic to me. It's part of the landscape of what we're swimming through. So be gentle with yourselves. And yet at the same time, it's about deciding whether or not you're going to give into the more of a fear-based idea or whether or not it's just an opportunity to rest before the next lap. Good morning, McKenna. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Space for the Soul, welcome. Pilates with Bibi, welcome to the tribe. Kate, welcome. Aaron, welcome. Aquarius Rising, this one's for you. Here we go. Oops. All right. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Layla. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Sonia. Aquarius, Ariel's being joined by the Queen. Layla's being joined by the Protection card. Yvonne is being joined by the Bear. And Sonia is being joined by the Wasp. It's a little bit interesting. I want to say this because when I looked at this for Aquarius, I thought to myself, you're being hard on yourself, and you may feel as if you should be moving things forward. Things should be progressing more rapidly. Ariel says new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. And there's the Queen. And I don't think this is about Queen as much as it's about reception. It's about being fertile. And I don't mean it in a way of birthing babies, but being fertile within being able to birth whatever material dynamics you want to experience. Being fertile in potentially in your career, being fertile in your intimate life, being fertile in your family life. Because there has been so many delays set forth in 2020, and those delays are not meant to stop you. They're meant to give you an opportunity to recalibrate. My hair is driving me crazy today. I'm sorry. And when I say recalibrate, it's like if we think about what Pluto was doing in Capricorn, and Pluto and Saturn, breaking down old structures, taking what we know about the world and throwing it up in the air and watching it all land in what appeared to be chaos. To me, this is an opportunity to sort of, rather than try to move on what I've known, give myself an opportunity for spirit to say, wait a minute, this chaos is actually serving you. This disruption is actually breaking down barriers that kept you from where you wanted to go. So if you only focus on the barrier, if you only focus on the stop, if you only focus on what's blocked you, will you really be able to move forward in the way that you want to? Because the Queen is about reception and your ability to allow spirit to bring in what it is you want. In the opportunity obstacle, Aquarius, you're being protected. There's the Protection card. And there's Layla. Layla talks about saying to spirit, talking to spirit about your dreams and your desires, and in such a way that is sort of like you're at a drive-through and you're putting in your order. It's like, spirit, oh, I would love to experience this, and this is how it feels when I get there. Because normally the Baird will talk about my history, but here it's the enchantment of storytelling. This is in the angel's advice, and here's Yvonne, the angel of vulnerability. And I want to offer it this way because it takes great courage to be vulnerable to what it is we want to experience, what it is we want. So let's take intimate love, which many people have various challenges in, whether you're in a relationship or not. And when we contemplate intimate love, we don't usually contemplate it from a place of, yay, this is exciting. I know that this is coming my way. We contemplate it from where we've been and what challenges we have experienced. And those challenges and focusing in on them could be blocking you, Aquarius. Because in the final position, I have Sonia which represents a deceased loved one. But when I'm talking to a group this potentially large with thousands of people that'll watch this video, this is my team. And my team is helping me get over my anger and frustration. The Wasp is a very challenging energy because Aquarius, you may not feel like you have received. And if I think about it, the dual rulership of Aquarius could be maybe the most challenging of them all because, we think of Scorpio, we think of Mars and Pluto. They have a similar energy. When we think of Mercury ruling Gemini and Virgo, again, there's some synastry. But when we put Saturn and Uranus in Aquarius, it feels like cuckoo land. How do you take human structure and apply it to an alien and liberating and rebellious energy? It doesn't really work. So we have to rewrite the script. And that's what I think is going on. I think that as you, as an Aquarius, allow for an idea that you can't see yet, or an experience that you can't really, get the 2x4s and the nails and the hammer to build, but yet you can feel what the structure feels like, Spirit will start to bring things into play. And what you will learn most as an air sign is how your own thoughts have inadvertently blocked you. And it's not about being irresponsible to the challenges. It's not about being irresponsible to what we know as a structure. It's just really taking a second look and saying, do I have to adhere to that, or can Spirit move that out of the way? Let me give you an example real quickly, Aquarius. I do not necessarily market. I know a lot of you, know about the Sunday morning, but if you follow me in any other place on the internet, you'll see I barely post on my Instagram account. I try to be good with my own YouTube, but I'm not as diligent. And the reason I say that is because I could be chasing clients. I could be like, I need to do this and I need to do that in order to make a living. But instead, I oftentimes say to Spirit, thank you for bringing me all the people who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. Thank you for giving me the experience of knowing that whatever I need in the way of resources comes to me easily and often. And so I'm sitting in the reception mode. And it is changing the way I view. And in doing so, I can release some of my frustration to Spirit and say, well, you must be up to something. Explain to me what that is, or give me a sign of what it is. That's where I'm going with this. Anger sometimes is a very productive energy, but it's only productive in a certain amount of balance. If we're angry enough to allow ourselves to use it as a fuel to move forward, but that fuel is guided by Spirit's directives. That's kind of the way I want to put it. So here I go back, Aquarius, you're being protected from any sort of experiences you don't want because you're being willing to be vulnerable to rewriting that story from your Uranian energy, from that liberation, from that unique expression, from the excitement that if you think about Uranus as a network without a brain, it is systems that you can't actually see how they work because they work as a collective. So the collective is conspiring and working to fulfill your dreams and desires. And the only thing blocking it is your frustration. Okay, on to our Capricorns. And I bet you're happy that those planets are all moving out of your sign. Give you a little bit of respite from the storm. Pluto's still hanging out there. We're going to focus on the higher vibrations of Pluto. Okay, here we go. Capricorn Rising, Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Hi, CJD. Hi, Lori. Hi, Sukada. I hope I said that correct. Hi, Cosmo Kid, Tamika. Brandon, great to see you again. Juan, Small Wildflowers, I say good morning to you. Hi, Elizabeth. All right. Dominica. Okay, here we go. Capricorn, our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Opal. The third is Indriel, and the final is Bethany. All right, here we go. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the mystery card. Opal is being joined by the frog. Indriel is being joined by the cow. And Bethany is being joined by the truth card. All right, here we go. So Archangel Gabriel talks about arts and communications. I can't help but think she's talking mostly about communications right now. We have an eclipse tomorrow in Gemini, which I believe is going to be very powerful and set a tone for not only the following eclipse, but the conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius at 0 degrees. The most naive, pure, innocent. It's like, to me, it's the degree where I'm most able to believe in dreams coming true, because I haven't experienced anything to dig at them or to poke at them. So Archangel Gabriel for Capricorn is seriously asking you to really look at your thought process, because the mystery card represents free will. It represents the choice we have as the human. And this is not about being secure all the time. It's not about knowing exactly where I'm going. I was thinking about, as I was getting ready this morning, the goat. Capricorn is represented by the goat, and there's nothing cuter than a baby goat. And why is it so cute? Because it jumps around in the most playful, happy way. And then I thought, when we think about Saturn and we think about Capricorn, we don't think about the baby goat. We think about the whining goat, the goat eating the tin can, And I feel like what Archangel Gabriel is saying for Capricorn is, you have a choice of your thoughts. When are you going to pay attention to that choice? And if you're afraid of your own thoughts because you're in a loop, you're in a pattern of thought, then turn over those insecurities to me. Turn over those more challenging thoughts to me, because Opal talks about your children being safe on heaven and earth, and God is in charge of them. And then the frog represents the cleaning of the emotional baggage, the cleaning of my house. I believe that for Capricorn, this child is you, and God is in charge of that. God is in charge of many of the things. You're being watched over. Okay, so let me back up for a second, because I want to go back to the idea that our personality and our oversoul, because our oversoul holds a space for us, and our dreams, when our personality is scared, when our personality is unsure. And in many ways, that is what God and the angels are assuring us about here. And in assuring us that the bigger version of our dreams is viable, is coming into fruition, there will be an emotional cleanup. But it's not about eradicating the old thoughts. It's not about exterminating them. It's about integrating them. Because through the integration of them, how did they serve me at that time within my evolution? So I was under the veil of unknowing and not believing and fear-based. And as the veil lifted, that fear became more false evidence appearing real, which then took me to a place where I asked myself more questions before I just moved forward. Because in the angel's advice is the cow and Indriel. Capricorn, Indriel is the light worker. And I want to offer it this way, because as you shine your light and your desires on this planet, it supports the cleaning of your emotional house, which is in the mind. That's what these eclipses offer. That's what this whole dynamic of this series of eclipses in the houses and signs of our thoughts and our beliefs. And in doing so, you become more abundant. And the truth of what you want for yourself starts to reveal itself. And when I say starts to reveal itself, Capricorn likes a tangible experience. It rules material things. So as you give to Archangel Gabriel the idea that I am standing in the unknown, and my sign, Capricorn, does tend to be slightly apprehensive, is a way I want to learn. I want to say apprehensive, because if I don't follow the rules, will I be punished? Will I be ostracized in some ways. And then I go back to the idea that Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius, which rules such a bigger concept. So, no, there won't be punishment. There will be reward, and Saturn will be rewritten. And rather than being old goats that are cranky, you'll be baby goats that are jumping around excited for life. And that'll be really, truly taking care of you. Okay, that's where I'm going. And now I'm heading on to Sagittarius. Welcome, Oil Painter. It's so wonderful to see you. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday. Welcome, Jules. Welcome, Goddess Energy. Hi, I said hi to Juan. Okay, so Sagittarius, our solar eclipse is there in your sign. This is very exciting. I think it's so interesting that these eclipses are all focused in on, everything's air related. You know, I know Sagittarius is a fire sign. I know that, guys, but it rules my beliefs. It rules foreign places, foreign ideas, foreign things. So here I am in my first eclipse is tomorrow for me here in the West. And how am I thinking about my everyday life? How am I observing my own communications, my own self-talk? And as I liberate that, then I usher in this idea that my beliefs get to evolve as well. And then as my beliefs evolve, I walk right into the winter solstice, which is aligned to this 0-degree Capricorn Saturn conjunction, going into the sign of liberation and hopes and dreams. This almost makes all of 2020 make more sense. And I'm not saying because the calendar changes from one day to another that we're not going to experience more challenges in 2021. Yes, those will continue. But the more aligned we are to our deeper truth, and the more we focus on that truth in a way that is cooperative and in coordination and collaboration with spirit, the more we will live that experience in the physical. And as we live that in the physical, we are part of the team that helps those that are trailing behind us, that are still attached to those structures as safety rather than an anchor. We bring them with us. Okay. Yes, Brandon, I think the solstice is straight up magical. Straight up magical. Love that idea. Okay, here we go. On to Sagittarius. Agreed, goddess energy. The compassion and understanding will be, I think, much more of a... It's interesting because I want to say, I almost feel like people will be, rather than using the word love, they'll be feeling that compassionate energy, because compassion is not about something being perfect. It's about being able to empathize with it, regardless of whether it feels good or bad. All right, Sagittarius. Our first angel is Crystal. The second is Astera. The third is Seraphina. And the final is Maya. Here we go. Okay, Sagittarius, joining Crystal is the burden card. Joining Astera is the forgiveness card. Joining Seraphina is the queen. And joining Maya is the wind fairy. This is super interesting. Crystal says to have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then there's the burden card. Oh, it could be so hard right now to actually have faith and hope. So many of us may be looking at walking into this holiday season feeling burdened. We haven't had a normal year. Our incomes may be challenged. We're still in a curfew here. So there's this weird feeling of restriction and no restriction. And I feel like right now, even though Sagittarius may feel burdened, to find that higher vibration, to feel the faith that you represent. Because in the opportunity of the obstacle, this is a time to reach with spirit, with your dreams and your desires. And I want to say it this way, because there's a reconciliation coming. You guys know that the forgiveness card to me is never about forgiveness. I believe there's an illumination coming for Sagittarius. There is a period coming up over this next month, I'm going to say it, over these eclipses, where you go from feeling vulnerable, feeling a little scared, are these higher ideals that I want for myself and for the world possible? And then as you go to spirit and you say, thank you for giving me the evidence so that I can stand solid, there's a reconciliation where you start to understand that the burden of belief is really educating you on your thought process. This is the final position. Let me back up a little bit, because in the angel's advice, we have Seraphina saying a happy change is coming to your family, but part of it is in relation to the queen energy of reception. So let me kind of give you a scenario. Spirit, I have wanted so long to experience myself in the version of who I want to be. So when I was an administrator working in a doctor's office, that's not the version of who I wanted to be as Teri. Teri wanted to work in the spiritual realm, helping uplift and empower others to seize their lives. So for a long time, I had the burden of knowing what I wanted and not seeing any evidence of how would I get there. And then Teri started to talk to spirit and started to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this, you know what, and I'm ready for you to give me experiences. And that strong intention made me more aware of my need to receive from spirit. And it changed my family, because what it did was it educated me on what I was thinking and focusing in on. And it wasn't meant for me to be critical of myself or to chastise myself for not knowing something earlier, or having heard a concept repeatedly and not being able to integrate it yet into my life. Because the timing of my integration was also divinely inspired. So Sagittarius, as you walk through this month, where there is some very, very key things happening for you, because your ruling planet is in motion, in serious motion. And I don't mean it I'm not trying to be cheeky, but it's a key player right now. And what are you going to believe in yourself? What are you going to believe about the world? Because it truly is working to conspire for your highest vibration. And if something is breaking away in the meantime, which is burdening you in your ability to believe, then thanking spirit for giving you experiences to illuminate that path will help you be the teacher and the leader that you are in thought. Yep, that's where I'm going with that. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios. And as I'm shuffling for Scorpio, I kind of just want to say this. Recognizing thoughts that don't serve you, knowing that you're challenged, is not terrible. It's kind of like the first step to identifying where you want to go. So when you can sit just in that, oh, here I am working in the dental world, Jules, I don't like it. I don't want to work in people's mouths anymore. Thank you, Spirit, for using this job to transition me into something more aligned to who and what I am. And thank you, Spirit, because I don't know exactly what I am just yet, because I'm an evolving being. So as I start to pay attention to what makes me feel good, as I start to pay attention to what makes my tail wag, then I can start to move towards those things. And rather than villainizing the challenging experiences, I can celebrate them because they propelled me this direction. All right, let's go into Scorpio. Thank you, Juan. So bad with these timestamps, I gotta tell you. Because I just talk and talk and talk. All right, Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Yvonne. The second is Adriana. The third is Francesca. And the final is Archangel Uriel. All right, Scorpio, Yvonne is being joined by the mystery card. Adriana is being joined by the dog. Francesca is being joined by Merlin. And Uriel, Archangel Uriel, is being joined by the risk card. Wow. Okay. So Scorpio, you're ruled by Pluto. And I have to say this because Pluto is the detective. Pluto feels things. Pluto knows things on a deep level. Doesn't need to have material experiences in order to feel something. And I feel like right now, Yvonne represents vulnerability to me. Anybody who has this deck will read in the book that this talks about working with animals. I never have seen it this way. I was never the mother of a human person. So I've always been a fur baby mom. And so this is where I find my vulnerability. And for Scorpio, my vulnerability now comes in my choices. What will I choose? Will I choose the illusion, or will I choose a higher version of what I believe? Because Adriana is leading you towards love. And I want to say it this way because I don't think this is love of self. I actually think this is the experience of love of another human at the deepest level of Scorpio, at that very Plutonian, I see you, you see me. We are one, and yet we are individuals. Because Francesca is asking you, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And Merlin offers alchemy, justice, and balance. So if for some reason you're stuck in the more challenging vibrations of what Pluto offers, the death, it's death, death, death. What about the rebirth? What about the newer version? That's where we're going with this. Because in the final position, we have Archangel Uriel that deals with frustration, anger, and unforgiveness. And there's the risk card. The risk card is being vulnerable to a bigger dynamic. So let me offer it this way. Many of you that have watched me throughout the years now, because I'm going on 2 years here on Lotta's channel, I've been in past relationships with people that actually were not aligned to me. And oftentimes I made the choices to endeavor those relationships based on something that wasn't authentic to me. And that's where I think that Spirit is asking Scorpio to be vulnerable to their choices. And now to walk towards love as Spirit leads you there. And to pay attention through these eclipses and through what this conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius has to offer you. Pay attention to what you're focused in on. If indeed you're in a relationship that doesn't serve you, then use that as the platform to be identifying what does serve you. I'm in a relationship with somebody who's too independent. They don't make me feel wanted. So rather than focus on that, thank you, Spirit, for bringing me a relationship where I feel valued. And they spend time with me in a way that makes me feel joyful and celebrated. The same thing goes for the new job. The same thing goes with your material resources, your family resources, all of these things. Because frustration blocks, anger blocks, because it pulls our focus into what we're angry about. And that creates a momentum. Okay, on to our Libras. Somebody just asked, did I do Capricorn? Yes, I go backwards, Alfonso. I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. I'm on Libra right now, heading towards Aries. I'll be on Leo soon enough, heading towards Leo now. Yes, there is an eclipse happening tomorrow. That eclipse is in Gemini on a full moon. It's a lunar eclipse. So it really gives us an opportunity to look at our thoughts and to come to some conclusions about which thoughts serve us and what thoughts don't. And it's not about trying to eradicate the thoughts that, pardon me, don't serve us. It's more about using them as a platform for contrast. All right. Libra. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette, the angels of compassion. The second is Rochelle. The third is Crystal. And the final is Shanti. All right, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Love card. Rochelle is being joined by the Bee. Crystal's being joined by the Fire Fairy. And Shanti is being joined by the Serpent. This is really, really very, very, I kind of think it's kind of warm and fuzzy. Grace and Antoinette talks about having compassion. And as I have done this work with Spirit, it's interesting to me because the human focus isn't on love. I want to be loved. I want to feel love. Oh, I love that. And yet compassion has, for me, in many ways, eclipsed the energy of love because things don't have to be awesome for me to feel compassion. So now for Libra, I feel like this is really about compassion in regards to love. And I want to put it this way. I don't think it's about Libra's personal love. I think it's almost about how people choose to be loved. Not everybody loves the same. Not everybody wants the same things in love. And for Libra, the sign of partnerships, the sign of diplomacy, the sign of harmony, are you including yourself in that equation? Because as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, victory, luck, enjoyment comes in. This combination could not be more powerful, but it's also an opportunity and or an obstacle. It's not a guarantee. So Libra, as you have compassion for what appears to be imbalance, and then you go back to your heart, because in the angel's advice, we have Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then there's the creative action and optimism. And that creative action and optimism goes directly back to having compassion for the journey of your love life so far. And I don't necessarily think that's just an intimate love. It could be how you're valued in any one of your partnerships. The seventh house rules contracts. Contracts are not just between man and woman in a love way. There are also partnerships in work and in, all sorts of dynamics. Because for Libra, the angel of peace is here. And there's Shanti. Shanti is the angel of peace. And then there's the serpent. And the serpent represents knowledge and healing. But knowledge to me is the primary energy here, because it is through, I experience peace through my compassion as people choose to love what they want and how they want and who they want. And if indeed, Libra, there are people out there that are not responding to partnerships, they're responding to something else, then now this is an opportunity for you to experience that without seeing lack, but rather seeing abundance. I feel like, I'm a Libra sun. And while I don't really like to admit this, I can be super judgy in my personal world. I want people to be very considerate and have manners and oftentimes, especially in this last couple of years, I've seen people just be what I consider very table for one, very rude, very irky, as I want to put it. And so what I've had to realize about myself is that in my identification of their imbalance, I am being thrown out of balance. I am not sitting in compassion. I'm not sitting in the awareness that everybody has their own journey, and that journey is not in the same place as mine. So this is where I think I'm going, because it may feel a little bit like a burden to have to sit in this space. I also think it's making us acutely aware of our own thought process. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, air signs. And while Libra may not be in the eclipse season directly, to me, it's very much still in play, because we're going into a stage of air where all of us will start to see how our thoughts are manifesting in the 3D world. So, Libra, as you find compassion for that which you think is out of balance, you find more joy, more peace, and more prosperity. This is really awesome. Let's go on to Virgo. Welcome, William. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Oh, Silly Speaks. Welcome. Good to see you. Look, I think you're new to the tribe. I'm glad you could join us. All right, here we go. Virgo Rising, Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. Yes, I have a little winter scarf on today. It's interesting here because it's been warm and windy, and then cool and windy. And windy is making my hair do funky things, as we can all see. All right, here we go. Virgo. Our first angel is Maya. The second is Celeste. The third is Astera. And the final is Seraphina. Wow, Aaron, Stellium and Virgo in the 8th house. That's really cool. It's bringing practicality to 8th house matters. Aloha, Island Girl. Good to see you, Oil Painter. We've missed you. Is Stephen here? No, I don't think Stephen has joined us today. I haven't seen him. Oh, and everybody send out some love to Tebow. He's having a lot of challenges with his electronics. So he's missing being here. Hi, Martina. Maya. Virgo, Maya's being joined by the Perception card. Celeste is being joined by the Baird. Astera is being joined by the Cow. And Seraphina is being joined by Merlin. So this is just so interesting to me because Maya represents schooling and education. And then we have the Perception card. What is this whole month of December about? Thoughts, processes, how we feel and how that affects our thoughts. And we're going to learn something about those perceptions. And it isn't, I don't want to think of it as a difficult lesson to learn, actually. I want to think of it almost as, when I look at this, it feels a little like this is something that Virgo has been going through for the last 2 years, being more and more aware of how practical it is to see where my perceptions are. Because Celeste, in the opportunity of the obstacle, represents a new home or new place of employment. But for me, wherever you put me, I think a certain way. And I feel like Celeste is representing a shift into my story, a shift into my history. And this is where I don't villainize my history, but instead use it as a launching pad, as a way to measure my progress. And I want to say that, again, in a non-judgy way, because in the angel's advice, we have Astera and the Cow. Astera says, as you reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, the Cow offers you reception of those dreams and desires. But part of it is your willingness to shift. You know, Virgo represents the 6th house of slavery, the house of health, the house of work and modern day slavery. So as you shift the way you perceive that work, let's say you start to think, I can enjoy my work and make money at the same time. I can release the shackles of slavery that I have felt. I must do this. This is the practical way of being. Then I learn something about my perceptions, because Seraphina offers a happy change to my family, and Merlin offers balance, alchemy, and justice. And the justice comes from the idea that you have started to tell a new story. The bird represents the enchantment of storytelling. And I think that's the big difference for Virgo. You know, it is not, I want to offer it this way, Virgo, because you, at least in a general way, most of you enjoy having a certain knowing of where you're going, having the roadmap to say, here's where I start and here's where my potential destination is. It isn't about throwing out the roadmap. It's about seeing where you're lining up to the roadmap, and the roadmap is taking you on a longer journey to your destination where you could be going on a more expeditious route. And rather than judging that, just allowing for the shift. I hope that makes sense, because it all has to do with the way you're processing mentally, your perceptions. And I want to say it this way, because the perceptions they're historic. Your perceptions are all valid. Everything you're thinking is valid. But do you want it to be duplicated in your future, or do you want it to be part of the tapestry that then puts you on a flying carpet to where you want to go? That's what I'm thinking here. Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Jim Carrey did a speech for, this was years ago, for a graduating class. If you go to YouTube, you can search it. And he talks about practicality and reality being synonyms for fear. And I could not have jumped up and down more when I heard him say that, because it was so true. And yet when you tell somebody that's living in the practical world, aka a Virgo, that these are synonyms for fear, they'll tell you that's ridiculous. You need to pay your bills. You need to do this. You need to do that. And what I'm saying is, this isn't about throwing out one concept for another concept as much as it is integration of the two. Seeing the practicality in the unknown and putting your intention out there. Spirit, I would like to make money with more ease. I would like to be, I would like experiences that show me that I can enjoy my life and make money at things I find pleasurable. That's where I'm going with this. Space for the soul. If someone told you directly not to be so insecure, that sounds rather insensitive, because when someone's feeling insecure, it's not like a light switch you can just turn on and off. But if you can ask yourself, what is making me feel insecure? What is that? And if it is the unknown, then that's where you go in and you say to Spirit, I would like a practical human experience that then supports a bigger version of myself to help me balance that insecurity. And then that insecurity turns into an empowerment tool. It turns it into something that becomes exciting for you. If I hadn't had that challenge, I wouldn't know this, or I wouldn't be able to be so strong moving this way. Okay. Let's go on to our Leos. Yes, indeed. Leo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The second is Teresa. The third is Francesca. And the final is Maya again. If there's nothing, Maya is coming out so much because we're all being educated about our own energy, not about events happening around us. Okay. Okay. Daniel, the angel of marriage, is being joined by the butterfly. Teresa is being joined by the king. Francesca is being joined by the fear card. And Maya is being joined by the deer. Okay, Leo. Daniel is the angel of marriage. Talks about assisting you, bringing a marriage partner to you. And then there's the butterfly, which is all about transformation. We know that. Meaning the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, and it is not an easy transformation. As humans, we ooh and we ah. Look at the butterfly, look at the butterfly. We never think about the journey that it had to take to be that incredible sign of transformation. And Daniel is the angel of marriage, but his primary energy is to ask us to look into our history and partnership. What do we believe? Because this is where the beauty and the transformation comes from. Daniel, if I'm to personalize this for Leo, people in my history have always said, you don't need me. You can make those decisions on your own. You can handle this. You're a strong woman. And all those things are very true. But it doesn't mean I don't want to be in a cooperative partnership. But at the same time, what they were telling me was that they were not able to make those kind of leadership decisions. So there was a sense of loss for me. There was a sense of feeling like that particular dream may not come true. This is through my youth and through the years of my potentially being a mom and all of that. And when I really look at it, and I'm honest with myself, Leo, none of those people would have been a good partnership for me because of the dynamic that they couldn't stand in that brave energy. So now Teresa is a card of worry for me, a card of thinking more about how other people will perceive me than I do. And then the king obviously is about male energy, but it's also about justice and things pertaining to the law. So what if, as a Leo, you stop worrying about what other people think about how your love life has evolved, and you start owning it because you are the king of the zodiac. You are the sun, and you rule romance. And I feel like now is a time for Leo to stand in that energy in a way that says, you know what? If you don't like how excited I am when I walk in this room, you can walk out, because I'm going to shine as bright as I can, because that's what I'm here to do. Because I'm tired as a Leo of operating on false evidence being real. And Francesca is saying, are you going to focus on that false evidence? Or are you going to find justice in the idea that now is a time to stand strong? Because Maya, again, is card of schooling and education. And then the deer is about fear. And the deer can represent gentleness and diplomacy. But I want to put it this way, because oftentimes Leos can come across extremely confident. A lot of people go, oh, they're a Leo. And they say it in a way that makes you feel like it's negative. And I feel like it's time to take that negativity off the table. And in doing so, really claiming what it is that the fifth house represents. Really saying, you know what? If you're standing in an energy and you're not enjoying your love life, you're not enjoying your personal creativity, you're not enjoying personal pleasures, is that my fault as a Leo, or is it yours? Because I'm going to stand like the king and the sun and enjoy the things that I want. I'm going to claim them and grab them. And I hope you take the invitation. That's what I think this is about. I think it's about evolving past the idea of just intimate love, but rather the idea of partnership altogether. Partnership of, and when I say that, I don't mean outside myself. I mean all the fifth house kind of things. Partnership with my dreams and desires, partnership with my personal expression, partnership with the things I enjoy doing, my hobbies, my playtime. I think this is time for us all as a astrological tribe to start to think about why, when whoever set up the zodiac made the fifth house ruled by the sun, ruled by Leo, why did they do that? Maybe we've been paying attention to the wrong things. Maybe we've been paying attention so much to Capricorn energy, the stoic rules, the dutiful actions. Maybe we're not supposed to. And maybe that's what all of this disruption has been about. So that's where I'm going. And now I'm going to head on to my Cancers. For technical purposes, Naya, I think I'm saying that correctly. I hope so. I go whole sign. Lada has been my primary astrology teacher, although I do follow others. And a whole sign Western. That's for the purposes of this these readings. Aaron, this is exactly what I think these eclipses have to offer you, because you don't think you'll ever find a man who will share in your pastimes. What if you shift that sentence to saying, I believe that I can invite in a man who will enjoy the same things I do? And if I start to really pay attention to how much focus do I give to that? Because if we look at it, we have Brian Coulter, a man in his 30s who loves astrology. We have Nikolai, we have Victor. I mean, there are so many men that we can see that enjoy these things. Maybe it's just part of your experience has been where you go from the unknowing into the knowing. And so inviting in the love. All right, here we go. On to our Cancer, Rising, Sun, Moon, and Stelliums. All righty. All right, Cancer, Rising, Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Our first angel is Rosetta. The second is Akasha. The third is Maya. Look at Maya coming up everywhere. And there's Crystal. Joining Rosetta is the Focus card. Joining Akasha is the Fire Fairy. Joining Maya is the Restriction card. And joining Crystal is the History card of the Baird. As I look at Rosetta, it's about parenting, teaching, guiding children. And of course, what does Cancer represent? Motherhood, family, home, and hearth. And yet at the same time, I can't help but think that this has nothing to do with Cancer as a teacher, but rather as a student. And I say that because the Focus card is the 33 number. And to me, that's the master number of teaching. But I think this is about you. Look, we have these eclipses we're talking about. In Gemini, our monkey mind. In Sagittarius, our higher thoughts and beliefs. And then the conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter coming up towards the winter, on the winter solstice. This is an opportunity for you to truly, from a childlike innocence, start to pay attention to what you're focusing in on. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle, we have Akasha, the spiritual teacher, and then we have the Fire Fairy, which represents optimism, creative action. And then we have, in the Angel's Advice, Maya and the Restriction card. Maya is the student. So this is what I want to say for my Cancers. I believe that you are being taught how to adopt optimism in the midst of restriction. And in many ways, this Maya, the ultimate, the student card, is not about, it's interesting because you've got the student and the teacher in these energies of, okay, so the teacher is your opportunity. You're learning how to adopt optimism. Maya's through restriction. I want to put it this way, because I'm all over the place. You are ruled by the moon. The moon is an intuitive energy. The moon is your emotions. So as you step outside of yourself and observe from a higher perspective, my focus has been on worry. My focus has been on what doesn't serve me. My focus has been on my story. Because in the final position, we have the Baird, and then we have Crystal saying, have faith and hope there's more on the horizon. For my Cancers, I want to say it this way. I feel like there is an element of, how do I want to say this? I don't want to make it like you're all insecure, but there's an unsuredness in the energy. an unsuredness whether or not things are going to get better, that things are going to be, again, more focused in on harmony and love and peace and kumbaya. And I think part of that and what's being offered to you in this week and in this month ahead is to adopt a childlike innocence and allow yourself to be taught by spirit so that you can then support that or purport that is a better way of putting. It's the domino effect. So as you give life to the idea that there is a wisdom in me paying attention to what I'm focusing in on, and that maybe as a Cancer, I have had challenges being optimistic. And if I use this idea of this restriction to really look at where I'm pretending to be optimistic, but I'm not really optimistic, then I can start to rewrite my history from a place of inner knowing versus outer knowing. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And I want to say it this way because I think it's for Cancer. There is an opportunity for you as you pay attention to your focus to harness in your intuition in a way that becomes really, really solid on this earth. It's like, I feel like this conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter is going to, moving into Aquarius, is going to make what has been alien to us before much more normal, meaning the idea that energy is the beginning of manifestation, what we believe, what we think, what we focus in on. And so that whole idea of pounding the pavement, of working hard, of, the more people I call in a day, the more leads I'll get, the more money I'll make. No, you can make 2 calls, but your energy when you make those calls is what's really setting the manifestation intention. I hope that made sense. Let's go on to our Geminis. Our first angel for Gemini is Archangel Raphael. The second is Fiona. The third is Opal. And the final is Chantal. All right. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the restriction card. Fiona is being joined by the cow. Opal is being joined by the novice. And Chantal is being joined by the communications card. Okay, so tomorrow's eclipse is in Gemini. Gemini represents our everyday thinking, our everyday activities. And it's interesting to me because Archangel Raphael talks about a physical healing, and then there's the restriction card. And I really want to offer it this way because I don't think this is about restrictions straight up. I look at Archangel Raphael and all I see when I first look at the card is the illumination of his mind and his arms wide open. And I feel like this is about being wide open to restriction. And let me offer it this way. I don't think it's about physical restriction. I think it's about taking a pause. I think it's about, as I'm shuffling the cards and as I'm drawing the cards out, I'm thinking that Gemini represents 2 things. It's a couple of some kind, the twins. So maybe in this particular time, you are being offered a healing through restriction because you've been pinging back and forth in the way that you've been thinking or the way that you've been focusing. Going back from believing to not believing to contemplating both sides of a situation, because I think that the opportunity is that now this is out of your hands. Now, Fiona says, in order to receive God, source energy, your own oversoul is in charge of it. And your job is to focus in on your bigger momentum. The bigger momentum meaning beyond your own personality. If I was to think about my ability to manifest, and I looked at myself as being responsible for bringing in clients, I would probably never book an appointment. But I don't think of it that way. I think spirit brings them to me. And my job is to be here to receive them. So for my Geminis, Opal talks about God and the angels being in charge of your children. This is your babies, meaning your dream babies. And there's the unstable new beginning. The unstable new beginning comes in your ability to be childlike and allow spirit to bring you the things you've asked for. And your job is to focus in on what you love. And that's where Chantal comes in and the communications card. I would like to make this about intimate love, but I don't think it is. I think it's about love of what you love in general and how you communicate that. And that's where I go back to Archangel Raphael offering me an illumination, offering me I don't like to, the word healing is a nice, warm, fuzzy word, but I don't like the intimate that I'm broken. That bothers me. So I kind of really like that reconciliation. Oh, here I see I've been focused on a certain line of thought. Love doesn't come easily. Money doesn't come easily. Ease doesn't come easily. And now I flip the script and I say, Spirit, you know what? I've got this loop of thought and I don't know what to do with it. I don't have the ability to just stop it. It has been branded on my brain. So now, thank you for giving me new experiences to rewrite that story. New experiences that help me anchor into my everyday world these new concepts. And I, as a Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, will be open to those experiences and will allow myself to see myself being led into those experiences rather than trying to force my way into them. And I want to say it this way too, because if indeed you are looking and wanting to receive intimate love, stop looking, stop seeking, stop trying to find it, and start inviting it in. Start accepting the journey as one. Think of yourself as a tractor beam, and you're drawing this thing to you like this. And that spirit allows the ease of that with your focus. Again, here is a lunar eclipse tomorrow, the culmination of something, the monkey mind telling you a story that doesn't serve you, and turning that into a what if there's a new story. And all of this is part of my evolution. And if I didn't live under the veil of not, under the veil of I don't receive, I wouldn't feel the sweetness of knowing that I do receive and being able to share that as I walk through the rest of my life path and share that with others. Okay, that's where I'm going with that. You know, experience teaches, words don't really teach. And as we experience others living their dreams, then we start to give life to the idea of why not me? And it all starts with just one little crack in the door. Okay. Here we go. On to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Teresa. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Chantal. Well. All right. Fiona is being joined by the deer. Teresa's being joined by the wealth card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the butterfly. And Chantal is being joined by the focus card. Okay. So for Taurus, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, I'm a Taurus moon here. Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And I want to offer it this way because I think that the deer in this particular case is seriously gentleness and diplomacy, as you open up to the idea that as a Taurus, you can try plowing your fields back and forth, but until you give some time for the seeds that you've sown to start to flourish, you cannot make them grow any faster. So, and when I think about it, it's kind of funny because again, I didn't say again, but Saturn, Taurus, ruled by Venus, represents Earth. It represents gardens and nature and food that grows out of the ground. And I feel like this is really about allowing yourself to grow. And rather than worrying, but to the obstacle, start to focus in on the harmonious wealth that is coming ahead. It's almost like rather than staring at the pot and waiting for it to boil, going and moving yourself away from the pot. And then next thing you know, everything is boiling because there is a blossoming. This is about beauty right now. And Archangel Raphael is telling me that beauty is coming into the 3D experience. And I want to offer it this way because it feels a little bit like as Taurus starts to anchor in the idea that you're being led, the idea that your desires are being delivered through the laws of attraction, the law of allowing, literally the laws of energy. They appear magical when we're fear-based, but when we're faith-based, they appear very normal, very expected. Because Chantal is the angel of love and romance, and there's the focus card. And I don't necessarily know that Taurus is going to fall in love right now or to have the resurgence of love as much as it feels like there's that potential that the things that you love, all things that are Venusian, loving your possessions, loving having money in the bank, loving having good food on the table, loving having good company around you. All of these things are coming back together. But part of your job, part of your opportunity and or obstacle is to see where your focus is. Focus is on harmonious wealth, that it's all coming to me, or is my focus going to be on what has lacked, what hasn't been? With this last year and so much being torn away and ripped away, we could very easily focus in on what hasn't happened. And yet at the same time, what if we focused in on something else? Everything in the world, as I've aged, has told me that intimate love becomes less and less possible with every year that goes by. With every solar return, I am becoming aged out. I don't believe that. I believe that I have contracted in many ways to experience something at maybe a later season in my life because there's things that I wanted to experience on a soul level before that. So in that respect, I am having gentleness and diplomacy with my journey. And I am allowing God and the angels to illuminate that. And so as a Taurus moon, I'm going to focus in on what is working and my own evolution into being the partner that I want to receive, and focusing in on the idea that love is viable at all ages and stages. And it's not just the love of another person, but the love of self, the love of my life, the love of my experiences, and being able to love things that aren't always tasteful, but being able to see that maybe something that appears distasteful or unpleasant in the beginning is just the idea of when I'm plowing that field, I need to aerate the soil before I can really put those seeds in and give them the best opportunity to grow. So that's where I'm going. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aries, my rising sign, and what I believe dominates my personality. And those of you that watch me may agree. I I don't appear very insecure. And I'm not sure if I am insecure. I do have doubts and trepidations, but I'm pretty secure. All right. I think so. Bomb.com. I see that as well. Archangel Raphael is coming out over and over again. And I think this is really about that illumination. I don't know if I think it's so much about physical healing. And while that illumination of our mind then traverses into our physical body, it is we start here and we manifest there. I hope that made sense. Okay, here we go. Final size, Aries. It's Coulter, Brian Coulter, Colter, and he is on Lotta's channel. I think he does 2 videos a month on the new moon and the full moon. Welcome, 7 Amy Gaga. Good to see you. A lot of new people in the room today. So exciting. All right. My Christmas tree is behind me. You can't see it yet. And I still have to decorate it. I'll have to change my position next week so you can see more of my Christmas stuff. For a girl that lives in a very small place, I got way too much Christmas stuff. I could be decorating till February. All right, Aries, here we go. Our first angel is Shanti, the angel of peace. Our second is Akasha, the teacher. Our third is Adriana. And the final is Fiona. You know, as I'm shuffling, I kind of think to myself, I imagine myself as out of body. And you know, how does the soul spend its time out of body? Do we sit on a cloud all day long, contemplating our navel? No. I think we want to be as purposeful out of body as we are in body. And I'm saying this for a reason. Shanti's being joined by the movement card. Akasha's being joined by the protection card. Adriana's being joined by the love card. And Fiona's being joined by the butterfly. We're seeing Shanti coming out over and over again. We're seeing Fiona coming out over and over again. I feel like our celestial hosts and guides are very much asking us to connect with them in a more, the word material wants to come to my mouth, but I don't know if I think material is the right word. Tangible. That's the word I want to use, this tangible. Because as we connect, Shanti is the angel of peace, and there's the movement card. And I really think of Aries as the truth seeker, as the one that's willing to go to battle for a holy mission, for a bigger version of what a human experience can be. And I feel like when I'm looking at this spread and all the spreads today, is so much is now being asked of us to work in tandem with, in coordination with our guides, our angels, the celestial beings that support us. They want to be as purposeful, and them working with us in this physical plane helps tee up any future physical experiences that other souls may have as they incarnate, because there's a teaching thing going on here. And this protection card is what I think we're being taught, is that we are protected. And we could say, oh, I'm protected from physical harm, physical illness, from bankruptcy. But I think it's a soul being protected from buying too much into the illusion of the human experience. Because Adriana is leading us towards love. And love comes at such a bigger definition than the love of another person, the love of self, the love of my home, the love of my belongings. It's the vibration of compassion, the vibration of continued existence, the vibration that the soul is eternal, and that eternalness is not necessarily meant to be an eternal uphill climb, but yet a series of ascensions that we choose as a soul through illumination. Because Fiona is here saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving the beauty in your life. I don't think that's about the caterpillar anymore. I think it's about the movement comes as we focus in on what is working versus what isn't working. So over this holiday, I don't know, I'm in a funny mood most of the time. And I'm talking to my dog because he's here. And I'm saying, we have a great life. Sure, I may be spending Thanksgiving by myself. I may not be interacting in a normal way with others, but I get to get up in the morning when I want to. I get to walk my dog by the ocean. I get to live by my rules. And yes, some of those rules may put me in a place that feels stress every once in a while, but would I change it? And I think that's where I'm going with this. And that's where I'm going with these eclipses. As I review my Geminian energies, my everyday life, I can find beauty in them, even in the challenging moments. I can find empowerment. I can find a way of identifying where my thoughts are focusing. That's where I'm kind of going. And Mars is in Aries right now, in its natural sign, moving forward, being willing to look at what is my truth. And then as I focus on that truth, and then thank Spirit for continuing to bring in experiences that support that, then we are, as a light being, we start to shine that light. We start to become these lighthouses. And then you pull yourself up above the earth, and all we do is see all these lights that are illuminating a new way of being, which is moving us into the age of Aquarius. So, Aries, there is a movement of peace, and the peace comes from inside, knowing that you're being protected and knowing that in many ways you are a teacher, but you are not a teacher because you are stepping out and saying, listen to me, I know what to do, but rather you're being led towards the things that you love. Even looking at others as they stumble on their path and seeing that stumbling is akin to a small child learning how to ride a bike. And we know we need to go through the wobble before we find our balance. And so we start to see the beauty in being led by Spirit. And part of Spirit is not outside of ourselves, but inside of ourselves. The part of us that holds a space for a knowing of who we are that we may not recognize when we're under the veil of the physical experience. So that's where I'm going for the week. I want you all to embrace these eclipses. Embrace, not brace for them. Embrace their opportunities for us to look at where we are, what we are believing, what we are thinking, and then ushering in a new age. And do not be surprised if you have your dream time getting very busy right now, because I think we'll be having a lot of downloads coming through at the time when our minds are least resistant to them, which is usually when we're sleeping. So that's it for this week. I want to thank you all for joining. It's great to see so many new people in the chat, in the live chat. And I hope you'll be back next week for Angels and Astrology with Teri Hunter. And if you'd like to book a private reading, you can go to Lotta's website. I am under the readers menu under Teri Hunter. So that's it for today. I want to wish you all a beautiful week ahead, a great lunar eclipse, and may the force be with you. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you next week, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Bye-bye.